Hi, my name is Niclas Stjernberg. I'm the founder of Boardy and I'm the CEO of the incubator Uppsala Innovation Center. You know, as entrepreneurs, we all want our products to succeed and reach markets. But in our line of work, we meet many entrepreneurs that really don't get all the way to market with their products. And I believe one key part of that is that you, as an entrepreneur, rush through the initial phase of getting to know your customers. And today we're going to talk about an exercise and a method that is well proven called the problem interview. And the purpose of doing these kind of interviews is to really get to know your customers' wants and needs so that we have a better chance of finding success for our startups. To get started, you need to clearly define your customer segments. Who are the people that you want to talk to? And you also need to state a couple of problem hypotheses. So what problems that you think they're experiencing are you going to explore? And if you haven't done so already, I recommend you check out the video about filling out a lean canvas where we go through how to define the customer segments and the problem hypotheses. Now, when you're doing these kind of interviews, it's important that you meet face to face, preferably in real life, because there's a lot that is said through body language and body signals. And if you can't meet them in person, I recommend at least getting to know them by having a video call. And when you get started, you could start by asking someone in your own network, and we'll leverage the first person we interview into getting the second interview, so we don't have to do a lot of cold calling. And sometimes I'm met by founders that think it's pretty uncomfortable to ask for these kind of interviews. You can maybe sound like a salesman in some situation, or you're worried about sounding like a salesman. And I always say that just be transparent with why you're asking for this kind of interview, and be mindful of the time you're asking from them. It takes about 30 minutes, and you can say something like, I'm a startup founder, I'm exploring different solutions for this particular problem, and I think you're a good person to talk to in order for me to get feedback, because I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the right things. And you can even say that I'm not selling anything. And usually that gets you the interview. Now, if you keep getting no's anyway after several tries, of course, it's important to not keep doing the same thing over and over again. So you can change things up, maybe change your ask, how you're asking for the interview, or change the different angle of the problem that you're trying to explore, or even change the entire customer segments. But it's important that you start getting some interviews lined up. Okay, so now you got your first customer lined up. And when you open the conversation, try to frame the problem and let the customer do the talking, and ask them to just tell you about the last time they experienced this problem that you're trying to explore. So let's say that you're developing an app, and I'm just making this up, by the way, that will help airline travelers to save money whenever their flight is canceled. You may want to open with something like, tell me about the last time your flight got canceled. What happened? This will create an honest foundation and have their answers reflect the truth, and have a comfortable way to move forward, where the focus is on them and not you and your idea. As the conversation gets going, it's likely that the customer might reaffirm your problem. In this case, they might say something like, yeah, that airline was terrible. We had to wait in line for hours when our flight got canceled. And once we got to the desk, they told us we could only get a refund if we rebooked with the same airline. And the next flight wasn't until 2 days, so we ended up paying for extra tickets anyway. And this is very tempting as an entrepreneur to jump on this chance to say something like, oh yeah, actually I'm building an online platform where you can get a refund from airline tickets regardless of the airline that you're booking from. And it's only $9 a month. Would you use something like that? Questions like this is very dangerous because they might mislead you into a false positive because they're about a future state and we can't really draw real conclusions about that. So we try to ask questions only about the past and present because that's when the key and crucial learnings are and something that is actually true because we want to avoid polite answers as entrepreneurs, even though it's really nice to get. But we want the truth. So, in other words, don't pitch your idea at this stage. Talk about past and present experiences. Your job as an interviewer is to get the customer going, to really find the core of the problem. Why was that frustrating? Why didn't that work? What happened then? What was the consequences? So instead of saying something like you did before, if we go back to this conversation, yeah, the airline was terrible. You might say something like, oh, yeah, I understand the airline was terrible, but did you check the insurance policy that they usually have in the booking feed of airline companies where you get a refund if the flight is canceled? This kind of question makes them be specific about their actions and avoid getting vague answers. And you want to focus your questions about learning how their actions are determined and their thinking and rationality about their actions in regards to this problem. And to which they might reply, yeah, I usually avoid everything you need to pay extra for when I'm booking my flight tickets. I'm afraid of getting scammed by these large airline corporations. Now, an answer like this holds many good answers and information that you can use in your business and product development. This suspicion against large airlines is something that we might use in our future marketing, for instance. Now, if you find yourself talking more than the customer, you're doing it wrong. Your job is asking questions and get them going and dive deeper underneath the real problem and try to find the core of the problem. By asking these why-related questions, we can easier get to the core of the problem. And why is that important? Well, it's important because if we understand the core of the problem, we actually might find a more scalable solution than our initial idea that gets the job done for the customer in the same or even a better way. It's also important because we actually might find out that there already exists an alternative that gets the job done in a satisfying way. And that's also important information for us to learn about. So I want to challenge you and really dive beneath the problem and asking these why-related questions as much as possible. And you can also try to change the problem hypothesis and explore adjacent problems. And doing this kind of exercise is really like digging for gold. You never know when you might find a nugget. As you move towards the end of the interview, take the opportunity, as we said earlier, to ask for more people that the person you're talking to think is worthwhile for you to also interview. And if you sense that the person you're talking to actually is passionate about this problem and really want to help you move forward, this might be an early adopter. So they might even become your first paying customer. So if you feel that, make sure to ask if you could come back and talk to them again when you have something finished to give feedback on. So be sure to nurture that relationship because they may end up being your first customer one day. When you're done interviewing, take some time immediately after the interview while the information is still fresh in your head to document the results. We live a fast-paced life as entrepreneurs, and it's easy to forget. So make sure to plan a couple of minutes to document the results and store them for future purposes. So when are you done interviewing? Well, the boring answer is you never really ever get done, because customer needs change over time, and a great entrepreneur builds into their weekly routine to continuously talk to customers. But for this specific exercise, I would say that you're done interviewing when you keep getting the same kind of answers to your questions. In other words, when you're not getting surprised anymore, then you can confidently say that you've found this pattern that clearly validated the problem that you are trying to solve with your solution. Sometimes that happens only after 6 or 7 interviews. Sometimes you need many more. And the important part here is to just get started. I know it can be a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but just having a few conversations and it eventually will get easier. To help you out, we've done a manuscript of a template for running these kind of problem interviews that you can use to construct your own manuscript. And if you want to dive deeper into the subject, I highly recommend the book The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. All right, let's summarize this talk by giving you some key takeaways. First of all, define the customer segment. Have a clear definition of the people that you're trying to interview and a clear definition of the problem hypothesis that you're exploring. Secondly, talk about their problem, not your solution. Don't ask leading questions and don't pitch your idea at this point. Ask questions about the past and present to get information rooted in reality. And thirdly, listen more than you talk. We're in learning mode right now, and we want to focus on listening. Pay attention to the consequences of the problem for the customer and their current solution for trying to fix it right now. Fourthly, don't forget to ask for new context. Use the time you have with the customer and get introduced to new potential contacts. This will save you a lot of time from cold calling, and it will also broaden your network. And lastly, don't forget to document your results immediately after the interview while the information is still fresh. All right, I wish you good luck with your problem interviews and hope you have a great day.